So hi everyone, my name is Asmina and I am the Business Development Executive for UK North here at the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. It's a pleasure to be here today and talking to you about the work that we do and how we can support you. And thank you very much to the organizers for giving us this opportunity. I will start with a very brief introduction to the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, and then I will hand over to my colleague Sam to talk to you specifically about our commercialization of research program. So to start with, just to say that the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult is part of a wider network of catapults that are strategically located across the UK. You may have heard about the Catapult Medicines Discovery or the High Value Manufacturing Catapult. We are all separate independent entities, but we are working together in a collaborative way. And the Catapult network is an initiative, an investment by the UK government with the aim to create opportunities in the UK and drive sustained economic growth in the UK for the future. Specifically, the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult is established by and funded by the Innovate UK, and we are a non-for-profit organization. Our aim is to help with the adoption, the development and exploitation of innovative technologies and therapeutics in the field of cell and gene therapy. And we do this by providing access to relevant facilities and expertise. And our ultimate vision is to make the UK a global leader in the development, delivery, and commercialization of those novel therapeutics, and where businesses can come and feel confident that they can develop and commercialize those transformative therapies. So our mission is to accelerate the commercialization of innovative research, and we do this by complementing industry and academia with unique technical facilities and expertise. We are very much innovation focused, and we collaborate very closely with academia, industry, government, NHS, and the regulatory authorities. So we can offer a series of valuable capabilities throughout the stage, throughout the journey, the development journey of a new therapy or a new technology. And we like to group our capabilities into three main themes. We have the industrialization theme, the regulatory and clinical, and the engagement theme. And within our industrialization theme, our teams can support with process development matters, analytical development, and manufacturing or supply chain. Our regulatory and clinical teams can support with regulatory matters, enable a company to have those early conversations with the MHRA and get valuable feedback from them. Our non-clinical team can support with the development of a non-clinical strategy and risk mitigation to enable a smooth transition to the clinical phase. Our clinical teams can support with the management, the design and management of clinical trials. And within our engagement theme, our teams can support with health economics and market access matters, IP and patent, and we can also enable the formation of valuable collaborations between our clients and other partners, ourselves and other partners as well. Regarding our facilities, you may think that we are very much south focused, but that's not true. So we have our laboratories at the Guy's Hospital in London. We have some offices in the area, and our laboratories where the analytical characterization, process development, viral vector and stem cell differentiation teams are based. But we also have a large manufacturing site at Stevenage that hosts 12 segregated cleanroom modules that our collaborators can occupy, and they can bring their staff and equipment and use our facilities and our established processes to develop their therapeutics at scale. And we also have a new facility at Braintree, which is supposed to support the COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing and meant to be fully operational by the end of the year. But in the future, this is meant to become an innovation center for cell and gene therapy. And maybe it's worth saying here that we are in the process of opening new offices in Edinburgh, where I'm also based. So we are focusing on expanding in the north and that's really exciting times for us. And before finishing with my part of introduction, I would like to mention the different models under which the cell and gene therapy Catapult operates. So we have three main models. Our core model, that means that we can choose certain projects to offer in-kind support using our core funding, core money. For example, the program for commercialization of research that Sam is going to tell you a lot more about in a short while operates under this model. We have a collaborative model, so for example, we can identify and collaboratively apply to grants together with other groups or companies or startups, early stage companies, to carry out the work in a collaborative way. And we also have our straight fee-for-service commercial model. And I will now hand over to Sam, who is going to talk to you about our commercialization of research program.
Great. Thanks very much, Mina. Nice to meet everyone, and thank you to the hosts for inviting us to give a talk. It's very welcome. Always nice to be introduced to different universities and academics and translational people, I guess. So I'm the Senior Commercialization and Research Manager at the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. I sit in the Business Development Department with Mina, but I lead our Commercialization and Research Program. I'll delve into that, but as a kind of headline, what COR is designed to do is work with academic groups primarily to develop investable opportunities for venture capital and other private investors. So really it's trying to boost the number of spin-outs in the UK in the advanced therapy space. So this slide kind of talks to that really and gives a little bit more detail. So really we're trying to increase the visibility of academic groups doing novel research to the investor base in the UK. So we have strong links with academic groups and strong links with venture capital groups who are comfortable and often invest in advanced therapies, and we can bring them together. So we collaborate with academic groups or sometimes very new companies to develop investable opportunities. So we're focusing on innovative science. That's not necessarily a difficult thing when you're speaking to academics. And these projects also have to have commercial potential as well. Sometimes that's not always realized, but we can help to kind of tease that out and identify really where is the commercial opportunity in these projects. So commercialization of research as a program, commercialization research in the cell and gene therapy catapult did exist prior to 2019, but we did it on a very kind of ad hoc and passive basis where we had, projects come to us if they were appropriate, and if they were worthwhile, then we would potentially help to work with that group to develop investable opportunity. But as I say, it's a very passive kind of ad hoc thing. We only did it when interesting projects came to us. But we did have some success nevertheless, and so there's an opportunity to kind of build on that, develop a structure and expand that offering. So from 2019 onwards, I would say, we've really started to build structure around this program. So we now have active identification of projects, primarily through myself, but for other members of our business development group as well. We have a dedicated commercialization and research team. So we operate in a matrix style structure where we have individuals from our non-clinical group, individuals from our industrialization team, so experts in process development of AAV and stem cells. And then we have regulatory experts as well. So we operate as a core group to provide kind of diversity and expertise to academics instead of just focusing on one individual area. So we feel like that kind of benefit provides the most benefit. We have a structured due diligence process. So once we've identified a group or we've had an interaction, we can do a full due diligence process. To an extent, a little bit like some venture capital groups do. It's good to go through that process before going through venture capital because we ask some of the same questions, so academics know what's coming. And we have a dedicated offering as well as what we can provide these academic groups. And as a result, we've managed to build a portfolio of collaborators over the last kind of 2 years to 18 months. Next slide, please, Mina. Okay, so when we were building the commercialization of research program, we had to think about what is an investable opportunity? Because if we don't have a good understanding of what an investable opportunity is, we can't really help academic groups to develop more robust ones or more valuable ones. So we came up with this list here of, I can't remember how many years is in there now, maybe around 10 or so areas that we feel are areas that venture capital ask questions when you're kind of speaking to them, and areas that they're interested in and they need to have either data on, or at least for you to provide a kind of robust answer. And so these areas often, a great differential idea and in convincing in vitro mechanism of action. Often academic groups have that as a very basic kind of level of data, but these other points here, they sometimes do have a few of these turn green or none at all. And so we feel like we can help work with academic groups to turn these traffic lights, so these orange traffic lights, into green. So if you go to the next point, please, Mina. Next slide, thank you. So when we're working with academic groups to turn these traffic lights from a kind of yellow into a green, we've chosen them really because, as I say, they're the points that the venture capital tend to focus on, and also the areas that we feel like as a Catapult we have the capability of actually providing impact on. So these first three that were orange are now turned green. So relevant in vivo models, high yielding and scalable manufacturing process, and preclinical safety and pharmacological data. So through our non-clinical group and industrialization teams, we can collaborate or work with academic groups to either generate and help generate data together to turn these lights green, or at least provide input and some credible input that can be communicated to venture capital around your strategy of how you would go about turning these lights green, which can go quite far as well. The next one, which is an experienced entrepreneurial team, if you just, this one's an active one, Mina, so you just got to press it, there you go, we don't necessarily, it's very difficult to impact the experience of an entrepreneurial team, and we're not there to provide entrepreneurial insight as such. We're more there to provide technical input and insights, but we can link academics to external consultants to come in and maybe act as pseudo CEOs or take positions like that if that support is really necessary. These final four points, turning those from yellow to green, these are slightly later stage questions and later stage issues that are more around the clinical aspect of a product or a company's life cycle. So your medicinal product, having a vision of that, proof of concept, design for clinical studies, your market access, positioning, and then freedom to operate. We have the teams internally to provide capability to answer some of those questions or provide support and guidance and strategy around how you answer those questions, but that doesn't necessarily always form part of the core support for commercialization of research. So the core team and the commercialization of research, if you just press one more, Mina, is forms, as I said, from our non-clinical group and industrialization teams, including myself and others. And that's because these early questions here and these early issues are what we find are the most pertinent for venture capital and where they really focus a lot of their due diligence and questioning. So we really focus our support on these earlier areas. Next slide, please. The commercialization of research program, as I said, we have these kind of three areas that we flow through. We don't always go from 1 to 2 to 3. Sometimes we jump in at 3 or jump in at 2. But as a kind of vanilla scenario, I guess, we would bring in an academic group and do an investable opportunity clinic. So this is a day or a half day, depending on the situation, where we invite the PI and maybe a senior postdoc who's actually done the work. And we ask them to present their published work, their published research, their unpublished research, what their plans are, development plans are from a scientific point of view, development plans from a commercial point of view. We talk about their IP and any regulatory issues they have, and really just get them to give us all the nuts and bolts and dig into really their project quite a deep level. And from our side, we have our commercialization research team, so that includes a non-clinical expert, an industrialization expert, whether it's an AAV or stem cell based on the project, bring in a regulatory person as well. And essentially we spend a day interrogating the academics and asking as many questions as we can to understand the project inside out. And at the end of that day, we'll provide a report that the academic can take away and utilize how they want. So we don't charge anything for that. That's a free day that we put on. And sometimes the academics feel that's quite beneficial because they can incorporate some of that feedback, either the verbal or written feedback, into business plans or into grant applications and so on. But the next stage on from that is to then go through a full due diligence process. I won't go into that, but it can take a little while to really get into the nuts and bolts of the scientific and commercial aspects of a project. But the output of that is really to develop a formal collaboration. So we can do some desk-based work packages or lab-based work packages, depending on the project. So we could provide a non-clinical strategy. How do you generate data to show, you've demonstrated toxicology and safety and biodistribution in your animal model, or we can do some lab-based work packages. So how do you scale an AAV gene therapy, or how do you demonstrate kind of differentiation at scale of your stem cell therapy? But always we focus on getting the amber lights to green. That work that we do with the academic group is in kind. So all the work under commercialization research is in kind funded by the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. And in return from that, we don't ask for any commercial or financial royalties or revenues or anything. Because we're funded by Innovate UK, this is part of our remit to boost the industry. So we provide this as an in-kind resource. And then finally, we do a lot of engagement with venture capital, bringing those collaborators through once they're ready to speak to venture capital groups using the network that we have there, and we get them ready, and we kind of do dry run pitches and so on to get them ready for those interactions. Next slide, please, Mina. Yeah, I think this is almost the last one. So this is just a list of some of the universities that we're already working with, and we have worked with Manchester on a couple of projects already. I don't think that's an exhaustive list. And a couple of examples here. So we worked with Bristol, an academic at the University of Bristol, to develop his AAV gene therapy in the kidney. So we did a non-clinical strategy for him, and we also did some characterization of his product some analytical characterization of his product. And that data was kind of fed in, and he managed to attract £45 million worth of investment for a spin out called PureSpring. So that was a really good success story. Another one is Rinri Therapeutics, which is a stem cell therapy for the ear. And this was an academic at the University of Sheffield who provided some healthcare economic and market access support for, and that fed into his proposal, and he managed to raise £10 million worth of investment to form Rinri Therapeutics. So yeah, we've had a couple of good success stories recently. Final slide, please, Mina. So this final slide here is not necessarily dedicated to commercialization of research, but this is kind of on behalf of Mina and myself, and just to show you some of the grant opportunities that are available at the moment in the UK. I know, obviously, at the top, Alessandro talked about the 2 grant opportunities that's on offer there, and I think that can complement what's on this list. The Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, as I said, we do commercialization of research, which is in-kind funded support. We do commercial support. Commercial support isn't necessarily really appropriate for academics, but we also collaborate on grants. So we can do all the types of things listed at the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, but via grants with academics. So if you are interested in accessing support from the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, then we're more than happy to talk to you about these grants and the type of projects that we could collaborate on. Thank you very much.